Good morning, good morning. We will be starting in exactly 2 minutes. So we just wait for people to come on and then we can begin. Good morning, good morning. So today we are going to talk about the commercial property finance. You're looking at people who are looking to get finance for their real estate project. So we are going to go through a lot of detail in terms of how do you prepare yourself and prepare your project for financing. We are just going to wait one more minute and then we will be beginning. Just in terms of what is it called? Housekeeping. Please do send, if you have any questions, do send them under Q&A. That would be on your left panel. Just ask your questions there and then they'll pop up. And then we're going to have a Q&A session at the end and you'll be able to ask more questions there. But for now, we will have that presentation going. And we will just share, I'll just share some insights, some information so that we can have a better understanding of commercial property finance. Good morning again, and thank you for joining. My name is Tebe Manake. I am the founder and CEO of Go Smart Value. Today we'll be talking again about commercial property finance, and we will be discussing how to get your project financed, just in terms of understanding where we are going to be going, the things that we're going to cover today. We are going to cover, first of all, introduction to commercial property finance. What is it and what kind of finance falls under this particular category? Please, at any point, if you find that either I'm speaking too fast or my slides are not in line with what I am saying, which means I would have gone past them, or whichever, you're not seeing what I'm presenting, please do send through a message or put your hand up so that I can be able to reconcile our specific discussions. So I'm going to talk about the introduction to property finance. I'm going to go through the basic checklist so that you know, even as different financial institutions do have their own checklists, you would at least know what's the purpose of the items that are on that checklist, and also how you can prepare yourself to be able to submit your project for financing across the board. And just preparing my notes here to make sure that we are able to continue on the same line. Okay, then I'm going to talk about factors that influence your the success of financing a project, and then we're going to go on to where do you start when you have a project, when you have an idea, when you have a piece of land, and what are the things that you should know and understand about how this property financing or development projects, how they go, how to go about it, and then how we are able to help you. And sort of like basically the contact details at the end where we can have a conversation around projects and how you can continue going forward. I'll just continue there just to make sure that we are all on board. There is reactions at the bottom of the page where you can put in any comments, any reactions. You can put your thumbs up or anything, any kind of comments, if you would like to share your reaction to anything that I'll be sharing with you today. Thank you so much for joining us today. So we're going to start with basically introduction to commercial property finance. What is it? Basically, it is the financing of commercially inclined real estate investment or development. And that means when it comes to residential, it's mainly multi-residential or apartments, depending on your inclination, what you call them. It is for development and financing of things like hotels, guest houses, tourism. It is for offices, retail or industrial. And there's all sorts of different types of properties, your filling stations and all of that. Mainly the key purpose of commercial property finance is that it should be a property that is able to generate. It is an investment that you're taking in. There is a difference between the assessment of funding. So when you're doing a property development for owner occupation, and that means that it's for your office, or it's for your manufacturing business, or it's for your own occupation as a business, it is assessed a little bit differently than when it is for investment purposes. The main difference is that when it is for your own occupation, the viability of your own business or the business's ability to pay its installment is taken into consideration. But generally, when it is so it just becomes a secured business loan that is secured with that particular property. So what is assessed is generally your cash flow and the ability of the business to what is it called? To pay for that particular loan. In this case, we are talking about properties that you're building for tenancy occupation or from tenants to occupy. And there are different anecdotes that are used on the former. So just understand that for any property that the owner occupies, that includes whether it's your house, the bank will assess the loan in accordance to your financial abilities. But when it comes to for commercial property finance where you're having tenants, they will also assess the ability of that particular investment to generate its own revenue. So today we are going to focus on properties which their core purpose is to generate revenue or passive income for the sponsor or the developer. Just to check that we are still together there. Okay, so the checklist. So in terms of the checklist, it is structured in 3 different ways. So it is the information about the project sponsor. In this case, the project sponsor would be you and whoever else that you may have partnered with. The second aspect of the checklist will normally include project documents themselves. The viability of the project itself, what exactly is being built, they just want to understand that, and then the project teams, the project team documents, so that they understand who is going to actually be executing on this project. So for project sponsors, you obviously need your identity documents, your IDs, your passports, whichever, and the ultimate beneficiaries. And this is to have an understanding. It's for the financier to have an understanding of who is behind this project and what is their capabilities. And then obviously your balance sheet, they're looking at your assets. If this project fails, what else can be used as security that you have? And what exactly do you have? Do you do you have? Where do you stand in terms of your assets and your debts? So they will look at yours personally or your business's assets and debts. So those are things that they would look at and assess if you would be able to carry on another additional loan for the particular project. And then your income statements. This is to determine your own cash flow. So it's your cash flow or your business's cash flow, depending on who the project sponsor is. Is it an SPV, a special purpose vehicle, which is a company that is registered specifically for that project? Or is it part of a portfolio that you're building? So we'll then assess the cash flow of that business. If you've got other things, if you've got other properties, it will look at that cash flow, how that is going on. If it's your project personally, it's also your cash flow. How much money is coming in, how much is going out in a particular at any particular time. So generally they will look for your income statement, or they will look for bank statements or some kind of track record for the past 3 to 6 months. Sometimes they'll ask for 12 months depending on the size of the project, so they can determine your cash flow. So what they're looking for in that aspect of the checklist is they want to know if you can carry the project. Can you, if something else happens, can you financially carry the project? If the costs go higher, can you carry it? Do you have the capability to financially carry the particular project? And then there's also, when we're looking at carrying of the project in that regard, there's also sort of exemptions or some leniencies from one financial institution to another, where they're looking at their historical experience and basically saying, okay, we have financed people who didn't have this level of financial strength, but they were able to successfully complete the project. And therefore, we will make this kind of assessment, or this kind of interest rate we'll charge for this, or this is the kind of extra security that we'll need. So those are the things that come into play when they're looking at your submissions. When we go into the project documents, they want to know first, where's the project? So the documents that they will normally ask for is obviously your title deed, the certificate, the site plan. Where exactly is this project? Its location, it's all. Everybody tends to believe that their property or their site is in a prime location. Prime completely depends on what you're trying to do. So for instance, if you're trying to build a block of apartments next to a very noisy road, it may not be prime for that, but it could be prime for a filling station. So prime is really something that we say that we have learned more normally from television, but all of these things always depend on exactly what you want to build on a project. So they want to know where this is happening. What they are also looking for, and this is part of what you put in your business plan, is how much is required for this project and what is this money going to be used for? Is it going to be used for acquisition of land? Is it going to be used for construction only? Is it going to be, what exactly are you going to use this money for? And are you using it in the most efficient way? That's why they look for that business plan, so that they can see what are the real plans of this particular project, and is it being executed in the most optimal and efficient way. And then the next thing that they're looking for is how long will it take for this project to pay back the money. And that is why they look for things like financial projections. They look for leases, lease agreements. They look for what are the lease agreements that are backing those financial projections. The question that they're asking themselves is, first of all, do you have a strong uptake? Are there people who are willing to occupy your space after you have built it? For shopping malls, usually they look for between 60 to about 80% occupation. They want to know who your anchor tenant is, and because the anchor tenant will determine whether there is going to be success? Is there an actual market for that particular market? So that particular shopping mall. So if you're going to be building something like a shopping mall, these are things that you need to prepare for. You need to have those pre-lease agreements signed. You need to have those offers signed when you prepare your documents for the project. And then while we are still talking about the project documents, we need approved drawings. So that means you have already engaged a consulting team. They have done the drawings, they have gone for planning approval, and you are now submitting for financing of actual development. So a lot of the times, a lot of people come in with an idea and a business plan. They are looking for the really starting money to start off with the drawings and getting planning approval and all of that. It is hardly that a financier will approve a loan that has to do with just for you to start establishing the actual project to get your drawings going. I do know, however, that there is a program, particularly COSIDA, where they say, okay, some of these things we can take care of in sort of a pre-loan type of thing. This was launched during COVID. I don't know if the program is still going on or they still provide that kind of financing. But generally, when you go into a project, understand that the burden of doing the drawings and getting them approved, the cost of it is usually on the sponsor of the project. So at this stage, when you're applying for a loan, they are looking for those approved drawings. They're looking for the actual business plan. So your business plan will have what I spoke about earlier. It will have the financials of the business. It will have how much is it going to cost. It will have all of that information. And it will also inform them on exactly what kind of repayment can this projected business pay back, and when they should expect to get that money back. Key thing in your business plan is a feasibility. That is to know what are the risks, what is the chance of success, what is the chance of failure in that particular project. If you do not have this in detail, you will have a lot of back and forth while they are testing a lot of the assumptions that you would have made in the business plan. But if you already have a feasibility in there inside your submission, you are much closer to a successful submission. Also, market research about the tenancy, the occupation, the possibility of success of what you're looking at, the need for what you are trying to develop in that particular area. And sometimes we believe that there's a need for something just because it does not exist in that particular environment. But when it comes to the viability of that, you may find that it is not viable to build that thing in the first place, which is why it's not there. So, for example, we would say a lot of us would have, I have a commercial plot, and then I say, I want to build mall, but the population of that area or that village or that settlement, maybe there wasn't sufficient economic activity that these people will have enough purchasing power to make a mall successful. So these are things that have to come out very clearly in your market research. The next question that they're asking themselves, that the documents they design in the project documents, is can the project carry itself, right? Who is the target market? Yeah, this project. Who is going to be occupying that project? What is their earning potential, right? So, for instance, if you're looking at I use a shopping mall as an example because a lot of people then understand much more easier. So you're building a shopping mall. It is a high-end shopping mall, right? We want to every tenant there must have a certain level of earning potential in order for them to agree to pay the certain kind of rental. Or we can give an example, multi-res. If your target market, yeah, that particular multi-res, for low-income earners, then it means, if your target market is low-income earners, how much do they earn such that they're able from their salaries or their income and pay the rental that you are trying to have them pay to make your project successful. The other thing that your financier will be looking for definitely is the evaluation of the property now with no developments or anything, because that is what they're taking on first as security. And then they would also want to know how much will this property be worth when it is completed, so that they know where this is baberekela more the arrange in Jang, so that once the project is completed, if it is still not successful, you're not able to pay your installments at that time, how much will the development be worth, and can they recover that money? Remember, for the bank, the most important thing when they give you money, they want to know when can they recover it, and if they are not able to recover it from you, can they recover it through disposing that particular property. And then we go into the project teams documents. So they want to know who are the project teams. They want to know who are their identification. They want to know their profiles. What are the projects that your team has done before? Have they done similar projects? Did they do them within budget? Did they finish them successfully? And what kind of quality of work do they do? The reason why this is important for the bank is that they don't want to give you money and your project team messes up the project, and at the end of the day, it is not able to reach its full financial potential, and they end up having financed something that they cannot sell at the maximum of how much they have financed you. That is why that information is very, very important when you're doing your financing. So when you are thinking about a project, just look at these things and say, okay, fine, what is all the documents that I have gathered about myself, us as the project sponsors? And then you say, what is the documents that I have gathered for the actual project, and what are the documents that I have gathered for the project team? The project team mainly would be your architect, would be your quantity surveyor, would be your structural engineers sometimes, and would be your electrical, mechanical engineers sometimes, depending on what kind of project it is and all of that. So you need to have your project team there. You need to know the expertise of your project team. You need to know what other projects they have done, and are they successful in doing something that is similar to you. So having a team that has got that experience puts your project in at the forefront. Oftentimes we cut corners in the beginning. We get, hey, my cousin is an architect, Androele, I know somebody who's a QS, and Androele. It's all good and well financially, but when you now submit the profiles of that people weigh on your actual project. So make sure that even if you're hiring somebody that you know, you have also assessed their profile and their ability to deliver what you are looking for. This thing varies in importance depending on the complexity of the project and the amount of money you are looking for. I have seen the questions. I will deal with them towards the end. Yes, so I will deal with them towards the end. The factors that influence funding success, like I said, it is the project, the sponsor, the team, the project, you need all of those documents of the project. And then the other key thing is the security, right? So sometimes the security will be beefed up with other assets of yours. Remember, we said that they are going to look at your balance sheet, and they will look at, maybe if this project this property will not be sufficient as security. This does not only happen for small projects, it happens a lot for major projects. It happens for even huge companies where other properties are used as security for another development. So it is not odd, or it is not it's a normal occurrence for other properties as security for a development that you are doing. What the bank is just doing is ensuring that at the end of the day, they're able to recover their money. And sometimes they will not sell the actual project to recover that money. They may say, your entire portfolio, they say, if this project fails, how quickly can we recover money? Which asset can get us there faster? So and then they choose which one they would sell, because the actual project itself may not be the best option to sell to recover the money at the time. So Arubwenka, where to start? The starting point, guys, it's always is the project viable? Right? Don't ever start your development with thinking this is what I want to build and go straight to an architect to draw out what you want to build. The first thing you must do, and it's something that you need to be interested in yourself before you invest in it, or before you start spending money in it, is what I am thinking of building viable, right? So you have to do a feasibility study first. And in a feasibility studies can be done in two ways. First, you can say, I want a feasibility that will tell me what kind of development would be the best to develop on this site. That's a type of feasibility study. And then that sort of what you would get, the conclusion of that report would be, this is the type. So it would say the best use of this property would be a commercial, this is the size, this is the market, and all of that kind of stuff. That's where you should start. The second type of feasibility study would be, you already have an inclination that you want to build a particular kind of development, or a particular kind of project. So you can say, I want to build a hotel on this site. Please do a feasibility study for me to know if the hotel I want to build will be viable. And then the conclusion of that study would be, this will be viable to a certain percentage. These are the risks, and these are the indicators that if this thing doesn't happen this way, the project will not be viable. So those are the two ways that you can do a feasibility report, feasibility study. When it comes to property finance, a feasibility is much more important than how beautiful the drawings are or how great and creative your idea is. If it is not going to be viable, you will not get financing. So the key things that are on your feasibility would be the location, the size of not just the plot, but the actual development. And is there a use match? Like, are there people who are looking for that kind of use, right? Is there a target market match for that particular property? Is there a revenue target match? If you need to generate this kind of revenue, is there a match with your target market where they would be able to pay that kind of rental? And then what is the optimal cost of this project? So for instance, sometimes when you do a development for a project, you would find that if it's, let me put it in the most simple way. If you're building the 1 bedroom apartment, kind of the 2 bedroom apartment, there is a maximum rental that you can charge, right? And that means there's a maximum cost that you can incur, right? So when you are doing your drawings with the architect, when you're involving your other consultants, you must know that we can never go beyond this cost. If anything, we should be working below this cost in order for this project to be viable. If you go beyond this cost, at no point will the project be viable. So you need to know what is the optimal cost for your particular project to keep it viable. And then the optimal development size, right? So sometimes at Tabernya, is 5 hectares or it's 4,000 square meters or whatever. 3,000 square meters head shop. No, the feasibility tells you the market at the moment, at the stage that it is in, it can only accommodate, or your site can take a market share, 500 square meters, 1,000 square meters. So start with building that so that as the market develops, then you are able to add more development. These are things that you get from your feasibility study, all right? So those are where you can start. That's the first thing. The second thing is that before you go and get your full drawings to be approved and all of that, do a test. I get you would have done your feasibility, it's done. And then you must have the first draft of drawings, right? And you use that first draft of drawings to get actual tenant interest. So that's the one that you go to specific you go to your retailers and you say, we are thinking of building a shopping mall in this site, yana. Would you be interested in occupying? That's how you get interest in the very beginning, before you start investing money or before you start spending money in designing this elaborate shopping mall you're going to struggle to fill. So use that the draft, go and speak to your tenants, and also have an understanding but in that area we would prefer mall, we would prefer shop 500 square meters. We wouldn't want 1,000, and that helps you to scale and know how many tenants do you actually need. And normally this is done for the major. So 175% letting is not the number of shops, it is how much space they have occupied moteng ga shop. So a 75% a le gore ke gongwe go accommodate maybe a large supermarket. If the supermarket occupies 75% of the space, you can continue. So those are things that you are looking for. And then you at that point, house now or that indication or those expressions of interest and all of that. It is a lot of work. Getting those expressions of interest is something that can sometimes take you 6 months to 1 year, depending on the project, where people are looking at, okay, maybe it's something they haven't thought about before, and maybe we need to consider it and all of that. So it does take some time. So you need to be patient with yourself. And then after you have determined what there is offtake, then you can go and appoint your consulting team. Your consulting team engages with your tenants, and that way you have got a better chance of success. And then after that, after that, then you have got a detailed funding proposal. You already have now, think about your submission, your business plan. You have done your feasibility. You know the success of it. You have got offtake letters from the tenants that are going to be occupying. You have got what is it called? Your projections are based on actual expressions. They're based on actual offer letters that have been signed. And mind you, when you do sign these offer letters, often the tenants will ask you, serious tenants will ask you, when do you think this development is going to be finished? Because they want to know, they want to plan for it. They want to know, okay, fine. How am I at this stage? We need to do what is called beneficial occupation. Defeating, their fittings, all of those things. So your planning needs to be precise, and that is why your project team is very, very important. Even key tenants sometimes the project team or but project the chances are our business on them. It might be a major risk, and you may find that in the location that you have chosen, they might have their options floating. A Basa committee as hard as they would commit only that strong value proposition for them. So that's where you should start. Those are the things that you should start with. When you have those things, then you are able to go and submit for funding. What you should know. These are just key things that anecdotal that I have seen a lot of times people looking at or thinking, this is what I can do. This is how I can get my things going. This is how, like anecdotal, not real, not based on real facts. First things first, the value of the land that you have, maximum, it's maximum worth to the development. Maximum is 10% of the development. So sometimes no, I'm looking for partners who are going to come in with me, help me finance the project. My contribution and therefore because Bata Bahamal Hatsin Lame, I want 50% shareholding. No way in any environment is that even viable. So you should understand that your land, maximum contribution to a development is 10%. And you need to raise money. You need to raise cap that is at least 10% of the total construction cost. Like if you think your development is going to be 5 million, think what your land is only contributing 500,000 and you need to raise another 500,000 to cater for consultancy fees. So this is before for funding. So these are things that you should have in mind when you think about developing a project. So sometimes we get frustrated because we are overwhelmed by these costs in the an idea how much do we think this whole thing is going to cost. Oh, we are excited by the 5 million. May resena any kind of appreciation. This is how much is going to be required off of you. The bank wants to know, the financier wants to know you are committed to the project. Just the fact that you've contributed your land is not sufficient in most cases. They need to see how much money have you taken out of your pocket. What is your skin in the game, right? If this thing doesn't work out, do you lose anything other than the land? Have you put in the effort for development? So you have to make sure that you are prepared to finance certain things. Nothing is for mahala. The other thing, like we spoke earlier about your balance sheet and your income sheet, clean your house. Take the time to close unnecessary loans that will make your balance sheet look bad. So take your time, clear all of those things, just remove them so that when your balance sheet is looked at, it looks clean. It looks like somebody who has got intention to actually invest, to actually develop. You are focused. That's what your financier wants. They want to know that you have got optimal interest in this business succeeding. Know that whatever assets you have can be called for as security. So be prepared for that. They can say, okay, fine, your house, your car, your whatever, can we put them in a security in case this thing doesn't work out? Prepare your mind, prepare yourself for you to understand what that is a real possibility. So when it comes to assistance, we are committed to helping you get equipped and informed on your real estate decisions. So in terms of all the stages of the process, we are able to provide services and advisory services in that regard. Depending on Horohakai, so sometimes you have skipped a few stages and we need to bring you back so that by the time you go and submit your financial proposal, it is a strong one. And also that you have got all of the necessary documents. Sometimes we do have how big a loan application can be. Sometimes it can be 2-3 clever files. So there is a lot of work that goes into that. When you want to have a discussion around your services for you to be able to submit for funding, make sure that when you do your booking, book for investment consulting. For your first one, when you are still discussing the project, we don't charge you for that, but thereafter we will send you a quotation. And going forward, this is how we are going to do. When you are a subscriber or we have an active project deal we are working with you on, we don't generally charge you for consulting. So that's the kind of information that you will be able to get and see in that particular regard. So before I go on to the next slide, let me address the questions that are on the table. Am I going to share the slides? I don't think we'll be sharing the slides, but we will probably have this video, this presentation on YouTube. I'm not for sure what it'll be in a link. I'll post to a link, but I think we will send the email to attendance here. You will also receive information about all of our different services going forward. What is considered occupancy rate for residential? Ooh, sometimes in our number 80%, sometimes it's 100%. And Tatahela, when it comes to residential, because it is quite tricky, they would want a commitment like it's especially now. There's a lot of multi-residentials they're not working out, so that obviously makes the financier very, very nervous. So they want commitment from an entity that is saying, no, my staff will occupy, this is the rental that we are willing to pay. So and the occupancy level that they're looking for is related to the amount of income that is going to be earned. So your total rental is going to be 14,000. Sometimes they want security, not necessarily off take 10,000. It's hard, but sometimes, like I say, different banks have got different leniency by the size of the project. So sometimes you may find that half of the project is under 1.2 million, and when your balance sheet, when your income is able to take care of the installment, they may not require you to have occupancy to finance you. So those are the different levers that financial institutions use in order to assess your specific project. Those are the questions I don't know if there's any other questions that people have that they want to ask in particular. Please feel free, put them in the Q&A. We have got at least, about 10 minutes before the end of this. If there are no questions, then we can proceed. Any questions that I have not responded to yet? I'm not seeing anything else. If you would like to make a comment or to speak, I think you are able to request to speak, and then I can allow you to share your views, and we can be able to proceed like that going forward. Okay. I take it that there's nothing else. So in terms of just contacting us and getting to know more about our services, getting to know more about how we can be of value to you, we go to bookings.gosmartvalley.com. Do not be afraid to book. You can also email hello@gosmartvalley.com or email info@gosmartvalley.com. We have got consultants throughout the country that are able to assist you. So we generally do our consulting online. And the reason why we do our consulting online is because it is more efficient for us. We see a lot of customers, and we just want to make sure that we are able to give them the time that they have booked. And immediately after we are finished with one, we are able to start with the other one. So please try and book your online meeting. If there is something that you feel you need to discuss in detail with one of our consultants, have the first initial booking and then have the conversation around what you want to have and all of that. And then you can make an arrangement to see them physically. And we will have one depending on where you are, who you can arrange to see physically. We've got consultants, Mogaborone, Go Francistown, and Go Maung in particular. So we'll be able to assist you in that regard. Otherwise, anywhere in the country, you can be able to book for consultation, and then we will take you through what you need. We'll take you through our subscription service, take you through what you need for your project, have an understanding of what are you trying to achieve and how we can be able to get you there. And being that there are no other questions, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. We do have a program that is starting on Friday next week, which is it's a 10-month program for just people who are looking at starting to invest in real estate, or they have been in real estate investment but are not sure if their property is performing and how they can improve the performance, having to have an understanding of the real estate market. We will be running the program with we'll be having seminars on a monthly basis from next week Saturday until I think it's at the end of until November or October. This is basically handholding. We cover all sorts of different things in the course project. Let me just check what the course content is so that you can have an understanding of what will be covered in there. Let me just check for you. So the key things would be, yes, there's the principles of real estate investing, components of a good deal, mistakes that you should avoid when you're investing in real estate in Botswana, components of viable financing. So we take you through that bit by bit. The ABCs of deal structuring, the tricks of real estate, the value proposition, land bank. So we're going to talk about land banking, how land banking works. We're going to talk about developments. If you want to be doing developments as your investment proposition, purchases, how acquisition of property for building a portfolio works. We're going to be talking about the development process and what you should expect, and maneuvering the Botswana real estate market, the art of real estate negotiation. These are the key topics that we're going to be talking about from next week until November. This is exclusively for our GoSmart Value subscribers. We've got the different subscription packages that are available for people who want to learn this. And then in terms of how the program is structured, we will have 1 hour of, the program is 3 hours once a month on Saturday. The first hour is the class. The second hour is, I think we're going to be looking at deals. So for instance, if you have a deal that you want us to discuss, we are able to discuss that deal where, so that you can see, is it something that you should go into? Because we want people to invest in real estate. And the reason why this is exclusively for GoSmart Value members is because they have taken the initiative for us to advise them on real estate investing and helping them to build their property portfolios. So we'll be doing those particular things with them. And occasionally we will have real estate practitioners, developers, financiers joining us so that we can be able to learn more and actually practice what it is that is available in the market. The other thing that we will be doing is recommendations of books, YouTube channels, and all sorts of kinds of resources that we will be discussing and sharing on in terms, so that you can be able to get on well with your real estate investment. There is a question. Okay, let me just do this so that I can share the screen. There we go. Yeah, so those are our contact details. So you can go on www.gosmartvalue.com. There's people who are always online to assist you. You can email hello@gosmartvalue.com or info@gosmartvalue.com. You can do your booking, or you can call me or what is it called? WhatsApp me. But sometimes calling is not as productive because like now I am here. So that means all the calls that are coming in, I'm not answering them. WhatsApp is the most convenient way for us to communicate. Otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I wish you all the best, and I hope this has been a very productive session for you. I hope it will change how you look for financing and at least add value for you in your next project and set you up for success. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.